In recent years, Battle Royales have become a major staple in multiplayer gaming, and I think we'll see that trend continue, at least for the foreseeable future. While Fortnite and Warzone lead the charge as I think the most popular BRs, other games are taking note and putting their own spin on the shrinking map player versus player formula. Even non-PvP releases like the upcoming Elden Ring Night Rain are incorporating some elements of this popular game mode. What I'm getting at is this: the Battle Royale concept seems to work really well when you mix it with other games. Perhaps even an MMO, for example? Hey guys, my name is Lemmy, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at how a BR style game mode already works really well in a game like World of Warcraft, and how something similar would have the potential to be a huge addition, and dare I say even a saving grace, for the Elder Scrolls Online's PvP ecosystem. We've got a lot of ground to cover here, so let's buckle up and jump right into it. Basically, if you're not aware, World of Warcraft has this new experimental take on a Battle Royale mode, and after playing it I have to say I was blown away by how fun and surprisingly accessible it was. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. First, what is Plunderstorm? Well, Plunderstorm is a limited time Battle Royale mode in retail World of Warcraft that exists in a completely separate space from the main game. If you've followed WoW in recent years, you'll know that Blizzard has been experimenting with a lot of different versions of WoW to appeal to different types of players. Classic WoW for those who want the original or expansion-specific experiences, Hardcore for those who like to live dangerously, Season of Discovery to reimagine Classic with a twist, and well, you get the point. One of these experiments they ran in the non-classic version of the game was this pirate-themed Plunderstorm mode we're talking about here. This mode doesn't use your existing character, so character progression does not matter. Instead, everyone starts out the same. There are no classes in this mode, your race is purely a cosmetic choice, and everyone starts out with the same basic attack, heal, and starter item. You can queue for solo, duos, or trios, pick your starting location on the map, and get launched in to start playing. From there, it feels a lot like a no-build game of Fortnite, where your goal is to be the last one or last team standing. You could have a brand new WoW account with basically zero playtime in Azeroth, jump into a match, and have the same chance at winning as a 20-year veteran, if you're skilled enough of course. At the beginning of the match, everyone starts out at level 1. Upon your initial landing, a combat ability will drop for you to use. You can level up by collecting loose plunder, looting chests, and fighting enemy NPCs, who will drop more plunder and, if you're lucky, additional items and abilities. You'll also find offensive and utility abilities you can pick up to mix and match based on your preference. And of course, as the match progresses, a storm closes in, forcing players into tighter spaces until only one player or team remains. Keep your eyes peeled for other players so you can eliminate the competition before they eliminate you. Even if you don't win, the plunder you collect during the match is yours to keep as currency for pets, mounts, cosmetics, and more in the Plunder Store, which I was pleasantly surprised to discover are unlocked account-wide in the main game as well. Lately, I've been bouncing between WoW and ESO whenever I have time to game, and to be honest, I tried Plunderstorm on a whim, expecting to get bored with it after a match or two. But I was wrong. Oh, I was very wrong. I've been having so much more fun than I ever expected, and while I have yet to get a win, I've gotten close, and that just makes me want to play it even more. Now, are there things I'd change? Sure. The pirate theme feels a little too gimmicky for me, and I think there are way more interesting map designs they could have gone with instead of just reusing the Arathi Highlands. But my biggest complaint is that it's only a limited time event. Maybe they figure without regular updates on it, people might get bored, and I know Blizzard's working on some big things in the near future, so perhaps they figure they just don't have the manpower to consistently update and iterate on it to keep people engaged at this time. Regardless, this is still an incredible proof of concept, and by all apparent metrics, it's been a huge success. So that got me thinking, why can't ESO take this concept and put their own spin on it? I mean, one of the reasons WoW has stayed so successful is that Blizzard isn't afraid to take inspiration, or sometimes straight up just copy, features from other games and integrate them. Some might get mad at me saying this, but honestly, good ideas are good ideas, so why wouldn't I want a game I play to have all the best features possible? Besides, if you think about it, a Battle Royale mode would be such a natural fit for ESO. It's a game that's always prided itself on being a one-stop shop for any kind of content a player could ask for. More on that in a bit, but first, let me pitch you my idea for an ESO Battle Royale. I've done my homework here, and I'm pretty sure this is a totally lore-friendly way to incorporate it into the existing game while still using your own in-game character, unlike Plunderstorm. I'm no lore master though, so take any lore implications here with a grain of salt. And ZeniMax, if you're listening, you have my full permission to steal this idea. I mean, please, by all means, feel free to take it. I don't even want any credit, I just think it would be awesome to see this added. Here's my idea. With the Imperial Province in chaos and the Ruby Throne constantly shifting hands between warring factions, the Empire's once mighty battle mages have been stretched thin. The Battlespire, an elite training ground and home to the Empire's most powerful mages, has greatly suffered from the ongoing Three Banners War and the ever-looming threat of Daedric incursions. Recognizing the dire need for skilled warriors to combat these threats, the Battlespire's council has devised a bold solution. They've compiled a list of promising adventurers across all three alliances, individuals with no sworn loyalty to the Empire, but with a proven track record of fighting off apocalyptic Daedric threats. In cooperation with the Mages and Fighters guilds, the Battlespire has established a grand proving ground, a high-stakes training tournament designed to forge these diverse warriors into true champions of Nerd. Set within a pocket realm of oblivion, this mystical battleground simulates diverse landscapes from across Tamriel and even various planes of oblivion, pushing combatants to their limits in an ever-changing arena. Though initially conceived as a practical exercise, this spectacle has taken on a life of its own. Competitors and spectators alike have embraced it as a grand tournament, one that has quickly earned the name Battlespire Royale. In-game, the way players would access this content would be similar to the Infinite Archive. You'd be able to fast travel to a dedicated space within the Battlespire itself, giving us an opportunity to actually visit this legendary location in modern-day graphics. In this waiting room area, vendors would sell exclusive rewards tied to the game mode, similar to Filer Ul and Filer Tezris, while NPCs such as our friend Lucilla, other Imperial battle mages, members of the Fighters or Mages Guild, or the Knights of the Lamp could also be present and would add to the immersion and atmosphere. The battle mages stationed here could provide repeatable quests and lore-friendly dialogue, maybe even referencing a certain Imperial battle mage, depending on the player's story progress. Honestly, I think this could serve as the foundation for an entire story DLC as well, but the concept is flexible. It doesn't have to be the Battlespire. A lot of different angles would work here. Daedric cults manipulating combatants, powerful Daedric princes staging deadly games, but come on guys, Battlespire Royale just works too well, in a tongue-in-cheek, fourth wall breaking kind of way. Plus, I really just love the lore of the Battlespire, and it's a shame we haven't seen it featured yet in ESO. Now that the stage is set, the gameplay here would be pretty straightforward, though the exact details depend on ESO's technical capabilities, so I'll keep it practical. Ideally, each match would support 30 to 45 players on a large map with differing environments. For this example, let's say it's roughly the size of Craglorn. The map would be a patchwork of biomes inspired by various locations across Tamriel and the many realms of Oblivion, creating a diverse and hopefully visually striking battleground. Similar to Plunderstorm, enemy NPCs of varying difficulties would be scattered across the map for players to kill and collect a currency that can be spent on various rewards after the match. I think it'd be cool if the elite NPCs you defeat here would also drop temporary buffs, kind of like the way visions or verses work in the Infinite Archive. In order to put everyone on an even playing field, when you join a match, all player skills, champion points, gear, etc. will be disabled. Instead, your power and abilities will be determined by whatever weapons you find during the match, and for this mode, your weapon will replace your ability bar with a predetermined loadout of abilities, just like Volendrung in Cyrodiil. More weapons will also be scattered about the map, as you might expect. Instead of your abilities being managed by magicka or stamina, they'll be on varying short cooldowns, but don't worry, in keeping with ESO's action combat, these should be designed with weaving and other ESO combat nuances in mind. Basic attacks, blocking, and dodging will remain unchanged. Oh, and there should also be some kind of upgrade station where you can spend your currency during the match to upgrade the quality of your weapon. Each match would begin with players selecting a drop zone and being teleported or dropped into that part of the map. They'll start with a randomized weapon, and as the match progresses, a storm will close in around players, forcing them into increasingly tighter combat zones until only one player or team remains standing. For team modes, there should be a way to revive fallen teammates, but I haven't quite thought of a fun way to do that other than the usual channeled resurrection. I'm sure that's a detail that can be worked out later if this ever actually gets added. Beyond just being fun, this mode would add a fresh take on open world PvP gameplay that ESO desperately needs, especially to help retain new players. The large-scale PvP that exists in the game right now is a lot of fun, but do you really think you get the full ESO PvP experience when you first dip your toes into Cyrodiil or even Battlegrounds? I'd say no, not really. Until you've grinded out the sets you want and created a build that fits your gameplay style and the content you're doing, you aren't really getting the PvP experience ZOS intended. ESO already offers a variety of experiences. It's an exploration game, a dungeon crawler, housing simulator, deck building card game, story-driven RPG, achievement hunt, and more. But despite all that, one of the few major gaming trends ESO doesn't offer is a no assembly required big map PvP battle royale. Yet. And hey, once we get our Battlespire Royale, we can talk about adding FIFA 2E582. At this point, if you're still watching the video, I've probably sold you on this being a cool concept, and it would be a lot of fun if it was added to the game, but now it's time to address the elephant in the room. Would the devs have the time or energy to even entertain this idea right now? Let's be real, ZeniMax Online is focused on other things. There are bigger priorities, specifically in the PvP department, that require their attention first. Look, innovation is crucial in any live service game, and ESO generally does a great job of letting players engage with the content on their own terms. You can opt in or out of almost anything: PvE dungeons, housing, card games, exploration. But when it comes to PvP, there are some undeniable issues, or at the very least, some widely perceived issues. Full disclaimer, I'm not a hardcore PvP player. I can't 1vx in Cyrodiil, and most of my PvP hours have been spent in Battlegrounds. But as someone who enjoys PvP casually from time to time, my understanding is that the performance problems, especially in Cyrodiil, have been a long-standing frustration to the PvP community. Now, I'm also not a technical expert, and I don't understand the inner workings of how a game like this really functions, but to my understanding, the root cause of these server issues seems to be the sheer complexity of ESO's combat system. Think about it, multiple players, each with access to thousands of possible sets and skill combinations, all interacting in real time with fast, action-based combat. And in Cyrodiil, there can be hundreds of players together at a time in one large zone. When it comes to PvE activities, even in large-scale world environments or trials, the amount of processing the game has to do, I think, is way lower because there are usually fewer players involved, and enemy NPCs are a lot simpler to process a combat sequence with. But in PvP, every attack, every defensive proc, every skill interaction has to be calculated with an opposing player who also has their own sets, passives, buffs, defensives, etc., all together in real time. This exponentially increases the number of calculations being processed at once, and whenever more gear sets, skill lines, or God forbid, if a new class is added to the game, the more complicated things get and it increases the strain in performance. At least that's how I understand it, and I think that's why we've seen ZOS experiment with things like simplified class skills in Cyrodiil, because at this point it doesn't seem like they can find a permanent solution that continues to scale with the ever-increasing complexity of ESO's gearing and combat. And that leads to an even bigger problem: community morale. Like it or not, ESO's PvP community has felt a bit neglected for years, and honestly I can understand why. While the PvE-focused players were getting new dungeons and trials every year, there was a massive PvP content drought until recently, and while the latest PvP-focused update did bring us new 4v4 and 8v8 battlegrounds, it also removed the existing 3-team battlegrounds, leaving them only to return as occasional weekend events. So as someone who liked 4v4v4 battlegrounds, this update felt, well, bittersweet. In PvE terms, it would be like if a new dungeon DLC came out and they decided to remove 2 other dungeons. I'm sure they have a valid reason for it, but still, I can understand why some PvP mains feel slighted. Anyway, now that I've gotten that off my chest and explained where we're at, here's why a Battle Royale mode is the perfect solution to the current situation. This game mode wouldn't just be fun, it would effectively solve a major part of ESO's PvP problem. There's a mindset that they need to fix what we have now first before more can be added, and while that seems to be the developer's plan, I kind of disagree. While ZOS should absolutely continue working on a lasting solution to the Cyrodiil performance issues, this BR mode should sidestep many of the technical issues that make ESO's traditional PvP so difficult to optimize. By stripping away class-based complexity and focusing on a controlled weapon-based skill system, it simplifies and streamlines the thousands of possible interactions. On top of that, if this game mode is designed correctly, it should be easy to iterate on. You could rotate sections of the map each season, tweak the abilities tied to each weapon loadout, introduce new mechanics like Daedric artifacts similar to Cyrodiil, or add other transformative elements without needing to put a ton of time into overhauling core game systems. This is already the kind of design philosophy of the Infinite Archive, and it would allow the devs to, as they say, work smarter not harder. Just to reiterate, I'm not suggesting that they should abandon any of the other PvP stuff, but I think once this is built it shouldn't need too much developer time to maintain and update. Most importantly, this would give the PvP community new content, something fresh, engaging, and rewarding. It would also create a low-barrier PvP experience that's fun for everyone, including casual players who might not normally engage with ESO's PvP, due to the fact that they would have to create a separate build and gear loadout for PvP, or just deal with being at a disadvantage compared to other players. If Infinite Archive is the endlessly repeatable PvE content ESO needed, then Battlespire Royale would be its PvP equivalent. And let's be real, there's a massive audience out there who would love to play an Elder Scrolls themed Battle Royale, so this isn't just a good idea, it's a smart idea. When it comes to live service games, it's easy to measure success by hours played, and for games like the Elder Scrolls Online, that time investment matters even more, because at its core, an MMO is about community. The real appeal isn't just the content itself, but it's the fact that this is your home base, the place where you and your friends gather before deciding what adventure to take on next. And make no mistake, despite a few flaws, ESO has built something incredible. Tamriel is home for many players, and that's exactly why I think new ideas like this are worth exploring. There's always room for something fresh to shake things up and bring more players together in new ways. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some guy on the internet who spends way too much time thinking about his favorite video games. If you made it this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Either way, I had an absolute blast putting together this video, so let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. That's all I've got for now. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, see ya!